Let's get right into this explainer and decode exactly what the massive new 2083/84 Nepal federal budget means for your actual wallet. Whether you're clocking in at a 9 to 5, bootstrapping a startup, hustling in the gig economy, or trading the markets, there are some absolutely monumental shifts buried right there in the fine print. We're going to completely skip the political noise today and focus squarely on the hard numbers.
So, we have to start with the sheer, staggering scale of this thing. We're looking at a total outlay of 21.24 kharba rupees. That is a colossal financial blueprint setting the economic trajectory for the entire nation. But you know, a number that huge, it's honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around. So let's break it down and see exactly where all that money is actually flowing.
Okay, look at this. Nearly 60% of that total is eaten up just by recurrent, everyday government spending. We're talking 12.7 kharba, literally just to keep the lights on and pay salaries. Capital spending, the stuff that actually builds our infrastructure and our future, sits at just 20.3%, which is about 4.31 kharba. And then financing provisions to manage debt, that takes up the remaining 19.9%. It is a really tight squeeze, and honestly, it sets the stage for everything we're about to unpack. Here's the roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the big picture, move into your paycheck and taxes, look at everyday costs and gig work, talk about investing in the market, check out startups, IT, and youth, and finally wrap up with farming and green reforms. All right, Section 1, the big picture, funding the state. Before we look at what you're actually getting, let's quickly see how the government plans to pay for that massive 21.24 kharba price tag.
As you'd expect, the vast majority of this, 14.05 kharba to be exact, has to come from domestic revenue. They're also penciling in about 4.19 kharba in domestic borrowing, plus 2.47 kharba in foreign loans and a sliver from foreign grants. But while that 14.05 kharba domestic revenue target, that means we need to talk about your taxes. Because at the end of the day, you are the one footing the majority of this bill. Which brings us perfectly to Section 2. Your paycheck and taxes, a lighter load. Let's see how this translates into the most universally felt policy of the whole year, personal income tax. And surprise, surprise, the news here is actually quite good. The absolutely crucial point is this right here. It's a massive relief for the salaried class because the top tax rate is plunging from 39% all the way down to 29%. This is a huge, game-changing shift. The whole idea is to leave the middle class with a lot more take-home pay. The government is really betting that this extra cash will spark a surge in demand across banking, auto, real estate, and retail.
Now, what's incredibly interesting here is the new unified structure. Look closely at that first tier. Your first 10 lakh of income is now taxed at just 1%. And did you notice what's totally missing? The distinction between single and married filers? It's gone. Everyone pays the exact same progressive rates now. So from 10 to 15 lakh, it's 10%, climbing progressively up to that new capped top rate of 29% for anything above 40 lakh. But wait, beyond those main slabs, there are some major hidden savings if you just know where to look. For starters, your house insurance deduction doubled to 10,000 rupees. Tax-exempt donations tripled to 3 lakh. But honestly, the absolute biggest win here is the complete removal of the 15% tax deducted at source on your retirement payouts. Plus, if the government actually owes your money, your window to claim that tax refund just got extended from 2 years to 5 years. These are real, tangible savings hiding right there in the fine print. Okay, moving on to Section 3, everyday costs and gigs, the give and take. Let's look at the delicate balancing act of your daily expenses, where, as always, the government gives with one hand and takes with the other.
So factory production is definitely getting cheaper. We're talking 360 goods having their excise duties slashed or removed entirely, and 273 industrial raw materials getting lower customs rates. The core logic here is to keep raw materials cheaper than finished goods to really spur local manufacturing. But your daily commute? That might get a bit pricier. Ride-sharing apps like Pathao and InDrive are finally being roped into the formal tax net. We're looking at a 5% VAT on every single transaction, plus a 1% advance tax withheld at source. So the gig economy is officially formalized now, but your fares are almost certainly going to reflect that new VAT.
Section 4, investing in the market, opening NEPSE. Let's dive straight into what this entire budget means if you're putting your hard-earned money into the stock market.
Guys, the market is opening up dramatically. This is quite literally a game changer for NEPSE. The budget is rolling out intraday trading and short selling, tools we have literally never had before.
On top of that, they're introducing the concept of hedge funds and, crucially, finally allowing non-resident Nepalis to invest directly in the secondary market. It's an aggressive move designed to deepen the market, inject massive liquidity, and pull in foreign capital.
Now, these are incredible new tools for modernizing our financial markets, right? But come on, anytime the government opens up a shiny new avenue for profit, we have to ask ourselves, what's the catch?
Well, here's the catch. Capital gains tax is going up across the board. We are talking about a 50% jump in rates, whether you're holding shares or flipping real estate. So, if you hold listed shares for more than a year, that tax bumps up from 5% to 7.5%. And if you hold them for less than a year, it climbs from 7.5% to 10%. And actually, the exact same rate hikes apply if you're buying, selling land or buildings. It's now treated as a final withholding tax, which, sure, makes compliance a lot cleaner, but make no mistake, you are definitely paying a premium for those profits now.
All right, Section 5, Startups, IT, and Youth, the digital push. Let's check out the really aggressive new incentives designed specifically for the younger demographic and tech innovators. This is a massive, highly coordinated push to stem youth migration and keep our best talent right here at home. Just look at these incentives. 0 income tax for the first 5 years for new startups, as long as your turnover stays under 10 crore. And if you're a freelancer or a remote worker earning foreign currency, you only pay an unbelievably low 5% flat final tax. That's it, no hidden slabs. Plus, for students, they're rolling out a brand new Learn While You Earn apprenticeship model, letting you study and gain work experience at the exact same time.
Honestly, this marks a profound pivot toward the future. They are actively declaring IT a strategic national industry. Think about it. If you run an IT export company, you now get a massive 75% tax exemption. The government is throwing its weight behind AI, cybersecurity, data centers, and digital infrastructure to supercharge our dollar income. It is a loud, incredibly clear message. Build your tech companies here.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, Farming and Green Reforms, a leaner state and a greener economy. Let's wrap up by looking at the foundational sectors, how the government is literally restructuring itself, backing agriculture, and eyeing sustainable long-term growth.
For agriculture, the name of the game is direct impact and removing friction. Commercial farmers investing up to 2 crore rupees are now going to get a staggering 40% grant. And even better, a new support price policy hooked up to digital payments means the government is going to completely bypass the middlemen. They'll be depositing subsidies and support pricing straight into the farmer's bank account. Real game-changer stuff.
Meanwhile, the government itself is attempting a serious high-wire act. On one hand, they're boosting civil servant pay by up to 21%. That breaks down to a 10% base hike plus an 11% performance incentive. But to actually afford that, they're attempting some major structural reform. They're slashing the number of ministries from 22 down to 18 and entirely scrapping 31 redundant government bodies. The goal here is to save roughly 20 ARBA in administrative bloat to fund a much leaner but better paid bureaucracy. They're also injecting over 12 ARBA into a brand new green economy push. And this isn't just about conservation for the sake of it. It's a highly strategic green industrial policy. They are actively aiming to generate future income from carbon credits and forest economies. Essentially, they want to turn sustainability into actual hard state revenue. So, we've covered the macro numbers, the income tax relief, the capital gains hikes, and those massive new tech incentives. This is truly a budget of profound giving and taking. But the real question you have to ask yourself right now is this. With the government betting so big on tech and a leaner state, are you positioned to take advantage of this new economy, or are you going to be left paying the higher bill? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.